Alright, good morning from the Wetmore House. It is Tuesday, and this is your NTI Day 2 overview. So if you go to your engineering class page, and again, it's going to say 6th grade engineering, but if you're in 7th and 8th, this video is going to apply to your lesson as well. So on your class page today, there's actually 3 things posted. One is the NTI Day 2 design process assignment. There's an NTI Day 2 design process PowerPoint that you can use while you go through the assignment, and we'll go through both of those together here in a moment. There is also a video of Lovely and Style. Now, Lovely and Style are 2 pigs that live at our house. Well, they don't live in the house, they live outside. They were named by my 6-year-old daughter. I'm not sure why Lovely and Style, but that is what she decided to call them. So if you want to see Lovely and Style, they're right there. Okay, so let's go on to today's assignment. When you open your assignment document, it's going to look like this, NTI Day 2 Design Process. So yesterday we talked about what engineering is. Today we're going to go over a review of the design process. Here on the assignment, you're going to have design process notes that are going to say what is design and what is the design process. So to answer those first 2 questions, go over to the attached PowerPoint, and you'll notice here there's a definition for design. The word design is often used as a generic term that refers to anything that was made by conscious human effort. Design is also a process that is used to systematically solve problems. Alright, so that's the answer for question number 1. What is design? Now if we talk about what the design process is, if you go to slide 2 here, a design process is a systematic problem-solving strategy. It's organized, there's a reason and a specific set of steps that you go through. It has criteria and constraints. It's used to develop many possible solutions to solve or satisfy human needs or wants, and to narrow down the possible solutions to one final choice. So what is a design process? It's a systematic strategy to solve problems and generate solutions. So there you go. That's what a design process is. So if we go back here, now you're going to see a table on the second page that's going to ask you to give a definition and an example for each step of the design process. Over here on your PowerPoint, if we keep going down through there, you're going to see those steps listed. Define the problem, generate concepts, develop a solution, construct and test a prototype, evaluate the solution, and present the solution. Then you'll see down through here an explanation for each one of those steps. So here's how you define the problem. You identify it, you validate it, you justify it, and then you create design requirements, specifications for how that design must work to be functional. So there's a little more information here on how you might define the problem. Now, second step, generate concepts. Once you've defined the problem, you're going to generate some concepts. So over here, put a short summary of a definition for define the problem here, and then short summary for generate concepts here. And we're going to go over that right now. Later on, we'll talk about how you might do an example for this. So generate concepts. You want to get as many ideas as possible here. That's called brainstorming. There might be some research, and probably is going to be some research that's going to be required. Think about other things your design should do. Apply the STEM principles. Remember we talked about science, tech, engineering, and math? Think about how will they be involved in generating your concepts. You might need to think about the dimensions or the sizes or maybe the technology that will be needed for those concepts. Select an approach. Once you have those concepts put together, you got to figure out how you're going to go through those. You might use a decision matrix, a systematic way to depict one of those concepts. Now, you do have to ask yourself, do we have the necessary technology to develop the solution? That's all part of generating concepts. Alright, next thing, develop a solution. Third step, what do? Once you have generated concept, you're going to go ahead and develop that solution. Another good word here is the word prototype. And that's usually what's going on here when you develop a solution is you're creating a prototype. Now sometimes the design process is used to solve problems that might not have a physical solution. In that case, your solution might be a system or a set of steps or some answers A good example here might be if you go into the library and you see the organization for books. There's a specific system, Dewey Decimal System, used to categorize books. And it categorizes them by author, categorizes them by topic, and depending on whether they're fiction or nonfiction, that system has a different approach. That system is part of a problem-solving process. It's not a physical system, so in that case the prototype isn't really physical, but it's a system. That might be a solution. So that was a solution to how to organize books. It's completely different from a physical solution, but still the result of generating concepts in a design process. Alright, so that's how you develop a solution. You go ahead and you make it and you test it. Next, you construct and test that prototype. So these two steps are real similar. We go down here to scroll on down to construct and test a prototype. That construction might be a physical construction. It might be a writing out of the system or plan. And you got to figure out a way to test it. When you test it, you're going to test its performance. Is it usable? Is this prototype actually going to work? Is it durable? And as you do that, you're going to collect data. And that data, or that information that you get from your test, is part of a report. So you might do a test report. Okay, so as we go past construct, test a prototype, one of the next steps is evaluate the solution. So, based on those tests, you're going to have to make some decisions. Did this prototype work? If it did, well then it's probably time to talk about it, tell someone about it, or share it with someone. If it didn't work, you might reflect on that design and recommend or consider improvements. And you might possibly, and you see this return to prior design steps, you might possibly go back here and go back to your concept list. You might go back to your solutions and consider a different solution. So when you're evaluating the solution, you're going to see, is that solution effective? Can it be improved? And how can I improve it? It's a good definition for this evaluate solution area. Alright, last thing, present a solution. So when you present your solution, it really depends on the problem you're solving. You might put together a portfolio, and an engineer often would put together a portfolio to document the work they've done, to share designs and drawings and prototypes with a client, and communicate those. There might be a formal presentation. This might occur through a meeting. This might be sent digitally to a client. And your assignment today is going to be sent to me digitally. So if we go back here to the table, you should now, if you go back through that PowerPoint in this video, have a good definition. And then you want to be thinking about an example. So what's an example of a problem that could be solved? One example of a problem that had to be solved here at my house recently is I didn't have a desk to set my laptop on to record these videos for you. Usually I do this at school, or often I'll work at the table downstairs, but now we have quite a few people here doing school, and I needed a place to work and prepare things for you. So in one of our rooms upstairs, I had a storage kind of a bin, or I guess you call it a trunk. So I decided, can I put a desk on top of that? So I generated some concepts. I looked at that and thought, oh, well, I've got some wood sitting around, and maybe we'll take a piece of plywood and make a desk. Now, I didn't draw that concept out, but I did kind of evaluate, brainstorm some ways to do that. So I'm going to tip this screen down here and talk about that specific solution and prototype. So here we go. We're going to go see if we can't bring this to full screen. There it is. Okay, so I'm sitting at this desktop surface that I put on top of a storage trunk. And if you look at the surface of the desk, you'll see there's a piece of plywood here. And as I built this, initially it was quite a bit lower. So I had to raise that up a little bit. On the front edge, there's a little groove that keeps my pencil from rolling away. And so now I'm on to the second day of testing out this solution. So that's a problem. And if we go back to our define the problem was I needed a place to set down the laptop I needed to be able to put some work on here and create these little videos for you, I guess. But anyways, concepts: solution, construct and test the prototype. That's what I'm doing right now. Evaluate. Well, yesterday I had to raise it up a little bit. Present the solution. Well, I guess that's what I'm doing for you right now. I'm presenting that solution. Anyways, that's the design process. I know this video has been a little bit longer, so I'm going to wrap it up here for you. When you're done with your assignment, please turn it in. So on your assignment, you should have a turn in button here, and you should have a copy of it. If you share it with me through Google Drive, I will find it, but it might take me a little while. So please click the turn in button when you finish your assignment.